Today, I want to talk to you about how to fight God and win. And we want to do this from Hosea chapter 12, verses 3 and 4. Let me read those two verses to you. He took his brother by the heel in the womb, and in his strength he struggled with God. Yes, he struggled with the angel and prevailed. He wept and sought favor from him. He found him in Bethel, and there he spoke to us. Through the prophet Hosea, God spoke to Israel by an ancient name, Jacob. Jacob was famous because at his birth, he took his brother by the heel in the womb. He literally came out of the womb with his hand on his brother's heel. You can find that in Genesis chapter 25. As God looked back at the patriarch Jacob, he saw that Israel in Hosea's time was just like their forefather. Jacob in the days of Genesis, that is. Now, in ancient Israel, a heel catcher was a double dealer, someone who achieved their goals through crafty and dishonest ways. Through Hosea, God said, "That was Jacob then, and it is Israel now." Then, the prophet did a fast forward and looked at another event in the life of Jacob, when, in his strength, he struggled with God. The prophet recalled the struggle between Jacob and the man of Genesis chapter 32, starting at verse 24. Jacob refused to submit to God, so God demanded submission from him in a literal wrestling match. In Genesis chapter 32, Jacob had one of the most fantastic athletic contests of all time. It was actually a wrestling match with God. Now, we may speak spiritually of wrestling with God in prayer, or wrestling in spiritual warfare, but Jacob's wrestling was physical and spiritual. He was locked in competition with God, who appeared to Jacob in human form. Hosea's words, "he struggled with God," reinforce a point that was already made clear in Genesis chapter 32. Jacob wrestled with God in human form. And since this was a unique messenger from heaven, he's also appropriately described as an angel of the Lord. Inspired by the Holy Spirit, Hosea emphasized two more details from Genesis chapter 32. Jacob prevailed and he wept. Jacob prevailed in the only way anyone can when they struggle against God. He lost, and he accepted it, and he surrendered to God. How do you wrestle with God? There are many ways we can resist him. Our resistance may not be physical, but it's still real. When you struggle against God, the only way to win is by losing. Now, notice also that Jacob wept. This is how desperate and broken he was as he hung on to God, begging for a blessing. Jacob lost the athletic contest, but he won spiritually. He clung to God until the blessing was promised. Losing when you struggle against God is a good thing. It's a good thing to remember that he is the creator and I'm the creature. He is the king and I am the subject. He is God and I am not. He has won me over. You see, you can win when you fight God by letting him win you over. Hey, recognize the mastery and the superiority of God and do it today.